All right, this is a brief overview of the Articles of Confederation, or America's First Do-Over, or Mulligan, as I have it titled. The Articles of Confederation, interestingly, are the first time that the United States of America is actually in writing called the United States of America, so it can't be all bad. So the Articles of Confederation are the first governing body of the 13 original colonies, written in 1777, but not ratified until March the 1st, 1781, written by John Dickinson of Pennsylvania, a financier and also an important figure during the Revolution and also in the constitutional period that followed, an advocate of strong central government. Much of his designs would not be realized, sadly, under the Articles. The Articles of Confederation weren't ratified for nearly 4 years because of Western land claims by land full states versus land less states. Certain states and certain colonies in their colonial charters were granted essentially unfettered access to land across the United States of America, or what would become the United States of America. That is to say, certain states, i.e., Virginia, Maryland, so on and so forth, were granted territorial bounds on the north-south axis, but not territorial bounds on the east-west axis. So essentially, a lot of these states extended all the way from coast to coast. Not quite, but in their opinions, that's what they did. But there were landless states that were landlocked. So some of these states were not entitled to any additional territories to the west. And so there was a lot of animosity between these two. Ultimately, Thomas Jefferson is actually instrumental in getting Virginia to give up some of its land claims to the west, as well as ultimately Maryland. And so it's ratified and becomes the first Constitution of the United States, first government of the United States, the Articles of Confederation in March 1781. Really, the Articles of Confederation get kicked around a lot because of all of the limitations that they had, because of the fact that they frankly didn't work very well. But if you were to judge the Articles of Confederation by what they were supposed to do, they did everything that they were supposed to do because they helped to win the war against Great Britain. Really, if you look at the Articles of Confederation, they're designed to do one thing and one thing only, which is to win a war against a foreign enemy. Beyond that, there's not a whole heck of a lot. We're talking about a unicameral Congress here, so it's one legislative body. There is no executive branch, no president, no judicial branch, no Supreme Court. Basically, it has the power to do all the things you would need to do to make war. You can declare war, you can make peace and alliances, you can maintain an army. It was also the sort of court of appeals of last resort for disputes between the states. It really kind of functioned more like a modern European Union than a modern United States government. But its severe limitations made it totally unworkable after the war was over. It couldn't tax any states. It had, as I said, no executive branch. Almost all key decisions, specifically to amend the articles, had to be unanimous, which means every state had to agree. And spoiler alert, Rhode Island doesn't agree to anything. Plus, there was no way to resolve the burning slavery dispute that was still engulfing the colonies. And there were no checks and no balances between any of the parts of government. So that's a quick overview of the Articles of Confederation. Next time, we will get into the differences between the Articles and the Constitution, which comes afterwards.